In addition to traditional imagery sources like satellite, aerial, and drone, ArcGIS can work with a variety of other types of imagery coming from different devices and modalities. We refer to this capability as oriented imagery. Here in ArcGIS Pro, I've got a couple of layers loaded into the map. The green points represent the location of photos taken by field personnel on their mobile devices. And the green polygons represent the field of view of those images captured on the devices. Loading this information into the oriented imagery catalog inside of ArcGIS provides additional capabilities for visualization and management of this data. By selecting our oriented imagery layer in ArcGIS Pro, we get access to the contextual oriented imagery layer tab with tools for working with and visualizing data stored in this layer. Using the Explore Images tool, I can select any image within my oriented imagery layer and view it in the associated viewer. The real power of oriented imagery gives the user the ability to see imagery as it was collected from the perspective of the worker who captured it. Using the viewer, I can zoom in on the raw image and pan around to see information from the perspective of the field worker. As I do so, you can see how the field of view on the map updates. Oriented imagery is powerful because it allows organizations to standardize and organize all of the disparate information collected by workers in the field in a way that is easily accessible and shareable across the organization. Using oriented imagery, any user can go to a location of interest, click on the map, and see any images captured for that location. This is powerful because users can start asking the question of what imagery is available at this location instead of what locations do I have imagery at. And you can see as I pan and zoom around the map and click on all of my different locations, I can actually see images collected, in this case, using things like thermal imagery in addition to the traditional natural color imagery. In ArcGIS, there's a specific data model that can be used to manage this type of information. Inside a file geodatabase or enterprise geodatabase, I can use the new oriented imagery dataset option to create an oriented imagery dataset in my geodatabase. Once I do that, I can add all of my photos and metadata into it to provide this type of experience to the end user. There are a variety of tools for working with oriented imagery, such as creating the dataset, building footprints, and updating dataset properties. Very similar to any other type of layer in ArcGIS, oriented imagery can be shared out as a web layer so that other people across the organization can use and access it. Once my layer is published as a web layer, it can be used in something like ArcGIS Experience Builder, where we have access to the oriented imagery widget. Here inside of Experience Builder, I've got a map that shows a separate data set of photos collected in the field. Using my oriented imagery viewer widget, I can click any point on the map to see where I have coverage from photos. All of the green polygons represent field of views for images collected out in the field. Just like I could in Pro, I can select on any image on the map and view that raw image as collected from the device within my viewer. Using this feature, I can also see what other images are available within a specific point on my map. So here within my gallery, I can actually pan and toggle between different images to see a specific asset or piece of equipment from different perspectives. Same idea here. As I click and zoom in on the image, my field of view updates here on the map. In the Oriented Imagery Viewer widget, I also have the ability to add overlays. In this case, I can see the location of other photos captured, But I could also add any other kind of vector data to this as well. So if I had uh, vector layers in my map, like subsurface flow lines or pipelines, I wanted to see how they spatially relate to this piece of equipment I'm looking at, I can actually get them to render here on top of my image. And just like I can with this overlay view, as I select an image, I can zoom directly to it and then overlay any other images I have from that same perspective. So oriented imagery is a very powerful set of tools that are available out of the box now in the newer versions of ArcGIS. This is an unlicensed capability, meaning you don't need a specific add-on license in order to use it. It's just a part of the core capability tool set of both ArcGIS Pro and some of the online apps like Quick Capture and Experience Builder. I encourage you to use it if you want some ideas of how oriented imagery could be used. You can go to ArcGIS Online and search for oriented imagery sample apps. This is a publicly shared group that contains a bunch of examples of how oriented imagery could be used. So it's not just imagery from mobile devices that can be incorporated. You can add imagery from drones. You can incorporate video, things like vehicle mounted cameras. So all of these different example apps, you can open one of these up, interact with it, view it, share it, and get people across the organization thinking about how they can transform all of this static imagery that's collected across the organization into actionable imagery that can be used by other folks across the company.